dear dolly Polly, shut your eyes, lie still, lie silent, utter no cries as the witcher.
Catfishes. A catfish is a person that pretends to be someone online, usually with the intent of tricking people with a false belief for a romantic or financial gain. And over the years, many people have fallen prey to catfishing, some so bad it almost cost them their careers and their freedom. Such is the case we're about to talk about today, about an upcoming power forward that fell victim to an underage Instagram model and the catfish that helped them hook up. Chris Anderson is a 6'10" basketball player that plays in the NBA. Being high-flying, very acrobatic for his height, and covered in colorful tattoos, people dubbed him the Birdman. His pro career started in 1999 in the Chinese Basketball Association before finally going to the D-League. Then later on, he would be picked up by the Denver Nuggets. Things were looking up for the power forward, and they were looking great. That was until he ran into trouble in 2012. And that trouble came in the form of Paris Dunn. Paris Dunn was an inspiring Instagram model with dreams of making it big in Hollywood by any means necessary. While trying to get noticed as a model, Paris started targeting athletes and celebrities, hoping she can get a connection in order to get her foot into the door. It was this motivation that made her reach out to Birdman. She messaged him on Facebook one day. Surprisingly, he messaged back. Next thing you know, Birdman and Paris were exchanging messages via Facebook, email, and personal text. Over time, things started heating up, and before you knew it, Paris was sending Birdman nudes. But also during this time, Paris began getting messages from a guy named Tom Taylor, who claimed to be personal friends with Birdman. And it was Tom who suggested to Paris that they hook up. And before you knew it, Paris was flying out to Denver to meet up with Birdman one weekend. During that weekend, however, things started to be a little bit odd and awkward. Like when Birdman asked her about an upcoming trip to Africa that Paris was supposedly be taking, or when Paris brought up Tom Taylor and Birdman was confused because he never knew anybody named Tom. Many red flags presented themselves that first night, but despite it all, the two just brushed it off and had fun, which eventually led to them having consensual sex. After that weekend, the two continued to exchange messages, but eventually, Paris started to lose interest. This was mainly due because she had her sights set on another popular NBA superstar, Blake Griffin. But when she told both Tom Taylor and Birdman about these plans, the once cordial conversations turned into angry, threatening ones. From Tom Taylor saying that he was going to have Paris assaulted and murdered, to the kicker, when he sent her a link with all the nudes Paris ever sent to Birdman and threatened to leak them online with her name, phone number, and address. This eventually scared Paris so bad that she told her mother, and the two went to the police. While all this was happening, Birdman started getting emails from a woman claiming to be Paris's mom. Not only did she tell him that she knew about the weekend and the nude pictures, but the pictures will be considered child pornography because even though the real Paris told Birdman she was 21 when they met, she was in fact, wait for it, 17 years old at the time. Faced with this crisis, Birdman went to his lawyer with the information. The mother then blackmailed Birdman and leveraged him for money. Wanting to make all this just go away, the lawyer eventually sent the mother $3,000. A few months later, Birdman was pulled over by the police and informed that the ICAC was raiding his home and seizing his computer, phones, and any other mobile devices because of the situation with Paris. Birdman's weekend with Paris eventually hit mainstream media, and social media went ablaze. Birdman was labeled a pedophile, and this would eventually lead to him getting waived by the Denver Nuggets and kicked out of the NBA. But all wasn't lost for Birdman. The head of the ICAC investigated the hard drive messages. She noticed something didn't add up. The main one being the origin of the messages from both Paris and Birdman. Most of them came from a small town called Easterville in Manitoba, Canada. Turned out, Paris and Birdman were never talking to each other, but to a third person pretending to be both of them. And that third person was Shelly Chartier. She would pretend to be Birdman and Tom Taylor when speaking to Paris, and Paris' mom when she was speaking to Birdman. It also turned out that this wasn't her first Catfish gig. She had created many fake profiles in the past. Shelly Chartier was arrested on January 15, 2003, and charged with impersonation, extortion, and making threats. She received a year in jail, 2 years probation, and is banned from the internet. Jacked up case, but not one without a silver lining. Despite it all, Birdman was reinstated in the NBA, where he was picked up by the Miami Heat, and they went on that same year to win the NBA championship. Paris Dunn, well, she finally got her wish and became a popular model, posing for things like Playboy and Maxim. And currently, she's in a relationship with Don McLean. You know, he's that guy back in 1971 that brought us the song American Pie. And Shelly Chartier, well, she still lives the life of a hermit. And though she's banned from the internet, somehow she's still able to play online Xbox. That's where she eventually met her husband, who lives in New York. Now, periodically, he comes up to Canada to visit her, but she can never come and visit him in the United States due to the fact that she still has warrants for her arrest in Colorado. And should she be extradited, well, she faces up to 24 years in prison for the same crimes. But it's 2019. If they wanted to arrest her, they would have did that 6 years ago. And though Birdman was vindicated, he still receives online hate to this day for something that he never did, while Paris gets sympathy for doing the thing that she's made a career out of as we speak at this moment, posing nude. And Shelly Chartier also gets praise, being proudly dubbed the queen of catfishing. Because even though the media portrays Paris as the victim, the true victim, in my opinion, was Birdman. Because not only was he catfished by a woman with way too much time on her hands, but he was lied to by an underage internet thot who sexually used him in order to get into the celebrity spotlight. Though she managed to do that in the end, Paris Dunn and Shelly Chartier earned themselves another famous spot. Right here. In the psycho realm.
My dear dog.